Hey angels, how are we all doing? Welcome to the channel of Angel Guidance with myself, the Spirit of Jade. I have decided on Spirit. I had been contemplating on Soul or Spirit, if you've been following along with this series, and although I know we are a soul, when I think about Spirit, I think about the connection to Spirit, that we are, a spirit here journeying through life, and, this is just our vessel that's helping us carry through. So welcome back or welcome in to episode 6 of Becoming the Person Who You Want to Be. And on today we are working with perspective. Whenever I think about perspective, I think about how it is that we are choosing to view something, the perspective we are holding on a certain experience, a certain person, ourselves, and how it is that we can zoom out from that, switch the lens and zoom back in. So when being asked to zoom out of this lens, I want you to remember that you're not supposed to know everything. You are journeying through this process of life without a lot of the answers. And from my own journey, when I've chose to have a new perspective on the situation, and with all due respect, I know some perspectives can be difficult within the current circumstances to honour, that space of, but I believe this has a higher purpose, or I believe that this has intention, because when we are in the moment, in the dark and depths of things, it can be so difficult to see the light and see the opportunity that is being presented to us. But when you actually shift your perspective and believe that there is a higher meaning, a higher awareness, a higher guide that is journeying you through these certain particular experiences, you have more trust and you're being led, and that led leads to surrender. The reason I brought perspective into the picture, initially it wasn't actually on my list, but it was something that when I finished my last video, it kind of seeped out. So I was like, okay, I'll follow this through. And one-on-one when I just looked then, but it just made me think, okay, what is it that I want to share about perspective? Because this is one of the most difficult things, I think, within the journey of actually journeying through life, because each time you're walking blindly without any knowledge of where you're going most of the time. Even when you have a set plan, you're still having to lead and trust that you're going in the right direction. And of course, this is where faith comes in. I know not everyone believes in the faith. Sounds like I'm saying the fairies, the fae. But yeah, the faith itself, whatever faith you have, my ears just started ringing. And I don't know if anyone knows about that. It's usually that's kind of like communication or some type of, I take that as a sign of you said the right thing, or what you've just said then held resonance, sound resonance being that. So yeah, just journeying through this perspective and how I've come forward to speak about it. My key leader for it was actually faith. I mean, as I said with this page, Angel Guidance, I truly, wholeheartedly believe that we are led. I know we are led. And I think that's why perspective may have come into the picture, because I'm being asked to express this more, because I was watching Caroline Miss, I think her name is. I'll put a little clip of one of her videos, which I was led to, which found me, and I found her, well, her videos. And she was saying in one of her videos, before she used to be very filtered, and I realised that I've been being a bit filtered myself. And from my own perspective as well, from my own perspective, I've been being filtered. I've been filtering myself, I should say, because I was trying to look on an outlook and have a perspective that I thought other people wanted to see. But in reality, it's about the authenticity that I show up in and how it is that I can move forward in that. How am I showing up in my best authentic space, and how am I honouring that? How am I honouring you as the viewer for me to really show up in my true self? So yes, for whatever reason, I divulged into my explanation of how perspective came to be part of this series. That's just a little side note there. So back to perspective itself. When I think of perspective, I think when I'm journeying through something, as I said, I appreciate when you're in the muck of things, it's so difficult to see beyond the trenches. However, it's not until after you've moved forward with your faith, with your trust, with your belief and optimism that things will get better, that you look back and realise you are being equipped, you are being built, you are being journeyed and led, and you're becoming that warrior, that person that you are supposed to be. Because for whatever belief reasons you have, whatever, things and purpose that you feel drives you forward in life, you've got to remember that these experiences that we're experiencing, I believe, have reason. And when you believe that these experiences have reason and that the journey you're moving on is a learning journey, that we are here, the School of Life, that's also a really good YouTube channel to watch. Lots of valuable information in there. When you're being led and choosing to live intentionally like that, and you don't take everything too personally, it's like you'll take things personally, but you're not. Like with experiences, you don't take them as a personal attack, but you take them personally to how can you personally maneuver these into building up this expression of yourself, building up the art of who you're becoming and who you're being asked to be. Another key thing that really comes to mind when I think about perspective, I always have to remember that I've been on this journey now for 6 years, and I've always been led with blind faith, in the trust, in the knowing that things are being guided and orchestrated for my benefit, for my journey, even while in the current times I might not be able to see that. But the optimism that I have, the belief that I share, the surrender that I sacredly let in and that I sink into really gives me the direction that I know I'm on my path, I'm on my journey, and I can trust in that. But again, the fact I've been on this journey for 6 years shows me that it might be a bit difficult and reminds me that it might be a bit difficult for other people to really have that trust. But you have to take a leap. You have to take a leap beyond what it is that this current circumstance is showing you, what this experience is showing you. And that's the importance of perspective. You've got to think, well, there's 2 options here. You've got 2 lanes. You either stay in the lane you're at, or you switch lanes into a lane that you don't know where you're going. And either way, most time you don't really know where you're going. However, I think when you're being led and the signs are being shown to you continuously, your body functions are showing you that you're not in the space you're supposed to be, everything around you is just being uprooted, the whole system around you is just not working and operating, and you've got to think, well, do I want to stay in this dysfunction, this functioning dysfunction, or do I want to switch perspectives, have the optimism, have the chance to really push forward in the direction that I think would have more alignment with me? And that's a difficult choice to make. It's difficult to even believe that there are options out there sometimes, and I really want to, I don't know if honour's the right word, but I really want to acknowledge that. I really want to acknowledge that I know that it's difficult to really believe in a better option, that a perspective can change. And with time and surrender and trust and practicing that faith, it becomes so much more easier, so much more prevalent, and it's shown consistently that you are guided, that you are led, and that this journey, you're not walking alone. So while I've been videoing this video, my phone I just went to look back at the videos and my phone's lagging. And I was wondering if that maybe had an interlinked towards this whole video itself. When I think about perspective, I think about timing, and divine timing, funnily enough, is my next episode. And every time that I think about timing, I think we are always in such a rush. We're always wanting the next thing to be right in front of us when we're still just processing what's been. And instead of actually trusting that we're being led divinely, we force things sometimes. We put ourselves out into situations that we know aren't aligned with us, but because we want some type of satisfaction, we want to feel that we're supporting in the direction that we're supposed to be. But in reality, there's something deep within us that is reminding us and telling us, no, we've got to trust, and surrender is partaking in that. So to bring this video to a close, I did want to mention that I have actually done a writing piece for this, which I'll put on my blog, and I'll tag that in the description. So for episode 7, we'll be talking about divine timing, and divine timing for me is one of those things that I've had to surrender so much fear and difficulty, and really trying to see where I'm being pulled and what's being brought to the surface for me. and trusting that timing is at hand. You know, time is something that we have no control over, and it's trusting that things are falling into place as they're supposed to. So that brings me to the end of this video. If you did like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe if you feel like doing that. I'd love to hear any insights, anything that brought something to the surface for you or made you think a little bit more. But so lovely to have you here, and I'm wishing you all the best. Have a wonderful day or night whenever you're watching. Lots of love, angel guidance.